Commissioner Deb Shore, and on my right is Vice Chair and Commissioner Todd Wilchin, recently returned from Germany.
Yes.
Assisting us this morning is Dave Durbin of our County Attorney's Office, also Kelly Lundgren and Dan Nolte of the County Clerk's Office, and so will you join me now in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and thank you, thank you for joining in. And Mr. Clerk, will you begin the agenda, please?
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, June 14th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held last week. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Shore.
Yes.
Wilchin. Abstain.
Yeah?
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 2 yes, 1 abstention. Number 2 are claims. Approval of all claims processed through June 21st, 2016. Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve all claims processed through today. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore.
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Number 3 is special presentations. Lancaster County Visitor Improvement Fund grant in the amount of $10,000 to the University of Nebraska State Museum, a parasitology project. Mark Harris, Associate Director of the University of Nebraska State Museum.
And then please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Mark Harris. I'm the Associate Director at the University of Nebraska State Museum, and I work in Morrill Hall. Thanks for having me. For decades, Morrill Hall has relied on private donations to bring exhibits into our third floor temporary exhibits gallery. Sometimes we rent exhibits from other institutions, and now and then we produce one in-house. It takes a great deal of teamwork and time, and to do it well, it takes more money than we have. This exhibit about the world of parasites is our next internally produced exhibit, and we want to fabricate it in a way we can be proud of and in a way that the public understands and finds compelling. Our division of parasitology is important. We have the second largest collection of animal parasites in the Western Hemisphere and the most important systematic parasitology center worldwide. Parasites affect all living creatures, and they have specifically evolved to infect their host with great proficiency, and their life cycles are fascinating. They are relatively unknown to the public, yet there are more of them than all other organisms on Earth. We find them, we study them, and like all museum divisions, we share our data with other museums. We are an important component in the worldwide effort to understand these creatures, which are more widespread than most people imagine. Currently, our division of parasitology is the least represented division among Morrill Hall's exhibits. Parasites are not easy to display, and it will take a great deal of creativity to exhibit their variety and their remarkable evolutionary success and their impact on Earth. In our exhibit, we will expand on their strangeness, what is good and what is bad about them. It's mostly bad. We will show where they live and how they impact animals, plants, and humans. We'll talk of their ancient relationships with their hosts and how they now provide a roadmap, a dramatic shortcut to understanding biodiversity and the health of Earth's wild regions. This will include a section on the Nebraska sandhills ecology. We will feature our collection's specimens, collecting equipment, and research images. The exhibit will also include interactive elements in each area to help the visitor understand complex concepts such as life cycles, evolution, and ecology. We'll also display some of the animal species that are the hosts, drawing from our Division of Zoology's collections. Each section will contain an interactive element to enable the visitors to explore the theme further, an illustration of the scientific process through videos and other learning materials, a state museum research connection to each theme, and a biography of one or more of our researchers and why they became a parasitologist. Visitors will appreciate parasites' odd yet sometimes beautiful forms and they will discover the challenges of being a parasite, such as finding a new host, staying anchored in the animal's gut, and reproducing. We will talk of the why and the how. Our research is conducted via web apps, short videos, and games. Our exhibit will target our bread and butter audiences, which are families with children. And we plan to draw them in with the promise of strange creatures and to send them away with a sparked interest in science. This is an ambitious project, the likes of which we cannot often undertake. And this exhibit will greatly add to Moral Hall's overall allure in 2017. So thank you for considering this request.
Well, it certainly is a fascinating topic, that's for sure, and it's certainly well developed. Any comments? Well, let's go on to correlating item 6A then.
New business, Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant contract in amount of $10,000 to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Board of Regents and a state museum for the parasitology project. The grant term is June 1st, 2016 through February 28th, 2017.
I would add one caveat. The university is self-insured, so I would ask the board to waive the insurance certificate requirement because they don't have an insurance company. They're their own insurance company on this. So this is the way we did it last time we had a grant through the University of Utah, so that would be my recommendation.
Okay,
I will move approval of the visitor improvement grant for the parasitology project, waiving the insurance requirement.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this grant with the corresponding waiver. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 3B is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant in amount $10,000 to Star City BMX for track improvements. Tammy Thimgen, Star City BMX treasurer.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning.
And thank you for having us.
Can you introduce yourselves?
I am Tammy Timian. To my right is Joss Larson, track director.
Okay.
We are looking at a handout, and we wanted to show you for the last couple of years when you've been so generous as to aiding us funds into complete projects. One of them was to asphalt all 3 turns in here.
Josh, if you want to lay yours on the Elmo, we might be able to get it up on the screen, so our viewers just, you might want to lay it there and just turn pages as she talks. We should be able to see it in a moment.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Page 1 is of asphalting of the corners of the first and third turns. We had to pay for materials, but we're lucky enough to have all volunteers to get that project completed. And in the second turn, on page 2, is the finishing of that project. What we're going to be, our next grant that you guys were very generous with was our starting hill. We took it from a 4-foot hill to a 10-foot hill. And Josh has great talent in doing those kind of things, so that was the result of all that hard work and your generous grant funding. Excuse me. What we're looking for today is to improve the east side. You saw the back side of the starting hill was of dirt and such. We were looking to put asphalt on the back side, so we can reduce our erosion when we have our large events. We do have a way to cover the track so the race can continue. However, the backside and access to that track can be a detriment in lots of rain. And in 2014, we had a torrential rain on Friday that we were worried about the backside, but we were able to save the track and continue on with that very large event. The next page is just a larger view of it, and that is around the back of turn 2. Just to give you a closer view. And then from standing on that starting hill, looking east is all back behind there. This is after a rain, and it's very wet, it's very muddy, and the people who attend the event are generally trying to carry their bikes and try to keep their athletic shoes clean so they can get a clean connection to their bike and such. And it helps with track maintenance and time so we can focus on other things to keep the property moving in a positive direction.
Okay, well, you've certainly had a lot of ambitious projects.
That we do.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Yeah, Bill?
This is not a question, really. not a serious one, but can we still call them dirt bikes?
It's still considered dirt bikes, but it's really evolved over the past, I'd say, 8 years since BMX was brought into the Olympics in 2008. It's really become a national size sport, and the rider count has actually doubled within the last 8 years.
Todd?
Do you keep track of out of state or out of the area participants to gauge?
We do race per race. We get usually I'd say 20 to 30 riders out of town each race, but on a bigger race, I mean, we're pulling in 100 to 200 per riders out of state. And a national event, which we host this year in 2010, 2012, 2014, we pulled in 600 riders out of state.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Okay, any further comments? Okay. Let's go on to correlating item 6B then.
This is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant contract in the amount of $10,000 to Star City BMX, Inc. for the purpose of track improvements. The grant term is June 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the grant to Star City BMX. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Go forth and do great things.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Appreciate it.
3C is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant in the amount of $10,000 to the Lincoln Parks Foundation for Roper East District Golf Course Project. Christy Donosopoulos, Lincoln Parks Foundation Executive Director.
Christy had a conflict this morning that developed at the last minute. She asked if we could roll this to next week, just schedule it for next week as a special presentation.
Okay.
And a quick note on the next grant, the Camp Creek Threshing Association. The amount of that grant is $11,570, not $10,000.
11,500.
11,570.
70. Okay. Well, thank you for that correction.
Okay, D is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant in the amount of $11,570 to the Camp Creek Threshing Association for facility improvements. Pam Fleming, Camp Creek Threshing Association.
Hi there.
Hi there.
I'm Pam Fleming, and I'm with Camp Creek Threshers. As you know from what you've heard in the past, we are a nonprofit organization. Most of our funds come from our gate fees, private individual donations. We maintain our property out there, and our goal is to teach the young how it used to be, even before our day, as they say, before dirt. The repair of our buildings is, a constant. They're buildings, and in order to continue that, that's why we're asking for this grant. We are installing a wheelchair lift in order, we have a church, we have an antique church, and it takes unique people to have it in this small church, but sometimes they have handicapped people in there. So we're installing a wheelchair ramp type lift for them so they can get in. So basically, we have kids that come out in the spring. We've just had a couple of groups come out, and they experience a day what it was like back in the old days to have school out there. So we're constantly making repairs to our facility out there. We're looking at to maybe add some new things, maybe an old antique jail, lock a few people up. So I'd like to thank you for considering us for this grant and working with us. I have to say this is my first grant, and it's been an interesting experience. So thank you.
You bet. Todd?
I don't have a real hard question, but
No.
for the viewing audience, could you tell us when the Camp Creek Threshers is held?
It is July 16th and 17th, this year, Saturday and Sunday, and this is our 40th year that we've held this. And we are doing some special events out there for it this year, but July 16th and 17th. We also have railroaders out there that we work with, and they have a show, which I believe is September 9th and 10th, and you can actually go out there and ride on the little trains. You can't ride them during Camp Crick because there's just way too many people. They can't do it. But they do have their own show, and then you can ride the trains out there.
Okay, so any other questions? Well, I've been out there, and it's a tremendous production that you put on out there.
It takes us all year to put it together.
So let's go on now to correlating item AD, or 6D.
This is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund Grant Contract in amount of $11,570 to the Camp Creek Threshing Association for the purpose of improving facilities. The grant period is June 1st, 2016 through October 31st, 2016.
Okay, our attorneys have pointed out one small technicality. Maybe we can get it fixed subsequently. The insurance certificate does not list Lancaster County as an additional insured.
I thought it did at the bottom.
It shows that we're the certificate holder, but it's I don't. Do you have the copy of that? I think it. Did you specifically get naming us as an additional?
Oh, yes,
insured?
I did.
Okay. I don't think the certificate. We're fine on that one.
Good job, Pam.
Yeah, good job.
I have no idea.
I was gonna ask you the waiver, but the attorney said, no, we should not do that, so.
No, that was in big bold letters to the insurance company.
My mistake, sorry.
Todd?
Based on having all the i's dotted and the t's crossed, I will move approval of this grant contract with the Camp Creek Threshing Association in the amount of $11,570.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this grant. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
You
Good
bet.
luck.
And have a great event.
Hope to see you out there.
You bet. Thank you.
Back to number 4, which is a public hearing, Class C liquor license application for Blue Stem Tree Farm, 5895 West Sprague Road, Crete, Nebraska.
Okay, do we have a representative? This is a continued hearing, carried over from last week. Is there anyone to speak in support of, in opposition to, or in a neutral position? Tom, do you have any additional information?
I thought they saw the attorney come in the back.
I thought I saw the attorney come in, yeah. Yeah,
Since it's a public hearing.
Oh, here he is.
I'll go ahead and,
okay. All right. So, yeah, we are now continuing the public hearing for the Blue Stem Tree Farm. And so please come forward and discuss this. Okay. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. And this is a continued hearing from last week. And we had some questions about the zoning and the reason for the request. So if you could continue, or if you could explain further.
I wasn't here last week. Were you sworn in last week?
Yes,
Okay.
but Dr. Martin wasn't, so if you wanted to have him.
Why don't I go ahead and swear in? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Okay, so the application, I believe, is for a C at this point. We have discussed this with the Liquor Commission. They're amenable to an I license as well, which would not include off-sale. And the reason that it was brought as a C this time, as I explained last time, but just so that the history is kind of clear, has been a C license out there for about 6 years. And there has been wine, grapes grown, and there have been, the grapes are then sold, remanufactured, and then some of the wine, so they don't actually produce the wine on there, but they produce the grapes. Last summer and this summer, there are not at least last summer, there was not any grapes sold. There was not any winery activities. Dr. Martin is amenable to continuing with harvesting the grapes and selling those, if that would be, more, I guess, in line with the zoning there. But primarily, what they do out there is they hold wedding events, charitable events, and Frog Fest, and they do not sell off sale. So we also discussed an I license with the Liquor Commission, and he's willing to amend his application to that. There's a form, maybe you've seen it or maybe you haven't, but it's a one-page form that just says, I wish to continue my license from last year, sign it, date it. If there's a change in the management, you list a management change and you pay $45. If that had been done, we wouldn't be here today. So nothing's really planning to be changed out there. But they would like to continue, and certainly a C is what they've had. There hasn't been off sale. They don't plan to do off sale. If it's more amenable to the board, he would change it to an I. And that's a simple change on the application.
So is this a winery or is this a tree farm?
Well, it's both.
Both.
Yeah, they grow grapes out there and they grow trees. It's 40
acres.
40 acres. So they do sell trees and other landscaping things, and then they have grown grapes, and they still have grapes growing out there. It's just a matter of is it more amenable to continue to do that, which is certainly willing to do. However, the primary function is for the weddings and the other events, so that they just want to be able to continue their license for that.
Okay. Any further comments?
Sums it up.
Okay. Tom?
Tom Chaka, planning staff. After consulting or discussing this with the county attorney, it's planning departments, and I believe, don't want to speak for the county attorney, but it's our interpretation of the zoning code that to be a winery, you not only have to grow grapes on site, you have to produce wine on site. To us, if you're just growing grapes on site, you're agriculture, just like if you grow anything else like corn or wheat or whatever. There's also a condition for a farm winery that says a farm winery must produce a minimum of 15% of product from fruit or other products harvested from the premise following 5 years of business. I believe they've been there operating for at least 5 years, so the product they're making, at least 15% has to be from the grapes grown on site. So that's our interpretation. Just growing grapes on site does not qualify you as a winery.
Okay. All right, thank you for that explanation. Yes.
Do each of the wineries we have currently operating in Lancaster County fit that within that specific code?
I couldn't answer that for sure. I haven't been to them, but my understanding is that the other ones do actually produce wine on site.
Have you ever produced wine on site, Dr. Martin? No.
No.
But you, yeah. So obviously you weren't made aware of that restriction at the time that you began operating.
We saw other wine tasting rooms and we were just mimicking what they were doing. So.
Okay, well, obviously then, just based upon that, it does not meet the requirements of a winery. So how does this fit in with the I license for the Class C liquor license for Blue Stem Tree Farm, if you're not a winery? Yeah, Tom.
We had talked previously about a Y license. I'm not sure what an I license is.
Yeah.
All the other wineries have a Y license. I guess my understanding, I guess it's up to the board to choose whether or not they want to approve or recommend approval of the liquor license.
Right, it is, this board's action is just a recommendation. We don't actually grant or deny the license. And we were not aware that they were planning to change to an I, so I really am not aware of what all the requirements are for an I license. All the farm wineries that we have in the county are licensed as Y, Class Y liquor licenses are specifically for farm wineries. So it allows the farm winery to sell wine that's produced on site.
So what's the difference between a Y and an I?
An I license allows for the sale on site of spirits, liquor, beer, wine, everything, just like a C would. However, a C also includes a provision for off sale. You know, in other words, you want to leave and buy a bottle of wine to take with you, you can't do that. So, it's at least my understanding. And so an I is sort of a lesser version of a C. It just doesn't allow off sale.
And so you want to, you are asking for this I license so that you can provide alcohol to the people there who attend the wedding events?
Exactly.
Okay, well, there is a question then in regard to the Blue Stem Tree Farm then. Does it have the license for those types of events?
No, that would not be considered an allowed use under the zoning code.
Okay. Well, it appears to me then that we have some issues with this particular request.
They are able to obtain, of course, special licenses for those events as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. I suppose a person could ask for an SDL, special designated license for an event. What I'm saying is that the events themselves are not in line with the zoning code. We have said in the past that you can have wedding receptions, etc., if you're accessory to a winery.
Mm-hmm.
But our interpretation of how it's ran today is that it would not meet the definition of a winery.
So I'm assuming, Tom, that you're wanting to the county board to start treating the Blue Stem Tree Farm just like you want us to treat Avalon and Hillside as non-conforming.
Correct.
Okay. And so we would need to, I think, probably address or include Blue Stem in that ongoing conversation that we're having this summer to resolve and allow for the use
Okay.
through SDLs.
Let me ask a question. We previously approved the Frog Fest SDL and special use permit. So you'd be able to sell alcohol at those events. This would be for your wedding receptions and other events.
Yeah, I do very few weddings. In fact, I'm not advertising for really any weddings. So
Can you step up a little bit further, please?
I do very few weddings. In fact, not advertising really for any weddings next year. I just had a few that I was honoring from the previous year, 2 or 3. Do some charitable events that we do, and going forward, it was going to be sort of a wine tasting, and you know, sometimes when you do wine tastings, they don't want just wine. Some of the guys want to drink a beer while their wives, for instance, drink wine. That's very common, and that's what holds some of the wine business down in the small vineyards. But that's kind of where we were at with it. But so the other question I have for you guys is, if I simply just start making wine instantly, I can get a Y, or what's the hold up on that? Because it's not hard to make wine. It's not hard to get the equipment to do it. Just didn't want to do it.
I think that one of the requirements is that 15% of the wine sold must be produced from your grapes.
99% is produced from my grapes in the past. I would just sell them to somebody who made wine better than I thought I could. I thought it was enough to grow them because I wasn't very good at that. But I was always my grapes. So
Yeah, see, that's, you know, to require to do it on site, to know that it's not going to be a high quality wine, then to try and sell it, that seems like a strange regulation we have to put in place as well.
Nebraska guy make it.
Right.
Nebraska guy, fellow vineyard make it, who's making it very well. So
Right.
it may have had good intentions, but they might be missing the mark with what.
Right.
they're trying
Well,
to
maybe
do.
the zoning code has to be reviewed, but in whatever case, I mean, that is what the code is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit that the code's not written the best,
Yeah.
Right.
but, yeah, it doesn't say a minimum amount of wine. So, I mean, if he started producing wine on site, I think technically he probably would meet the code.
Right, if they did produce wine on site, they clearly would meet the code. The zoning resolution, as Tom said, is somewhat ambiguous. So it says a farm winery is an enterprise that produces and sells wine. And it doesn't necessarily say on site. Then we get to the special conditions under the conditional uses, and one of the conditions is a limit on the amount of wine that's produced on site. In some ways, if you didn't produce it on site, that could be meaningless. The restriction would essentially be meaningless. But again, there is an ambiguity in the code, and I don't know that we've ever addressed this issue in the past. And again, like Tom said, I'm not sure that we know that all the other wineries that are operating as conditional uses actually conform to that interpretation. It's really an ambiguity, and I don't think that we've ever squarely addressed it because it is blatantly ambiguous in the zoning resolution.
Bill?
All right, let me see if I've got this straight. The application here does not conform to the rules for Class C liquor license. It does not comply with a Y, does not comply with an I. So we are being given a proposal that is non-conforming any way you look at it. So it then goes back to Dr. Martin having to apply for a special designated license each time you have an event. And we have been giving those. We are in the process now, though, of evaluating how we want to handle this, working with Tom and the planning department, but we haven't completed it yet. So I'm not prepared to vote on this issue today.
Yeah, I think that, Bill, I think that you made a valid point, because I think that this is one of the things perhaps that maybe after the 28th of June, we would be able to have more of a feeling as to where we should go. So would it be appropriate perhaps for us to close this public hearing? Or what? Yeah.
I still have more questions. So
Okay.
this is a renewal of a prior Class C
No, this
license?
is a new application because the prior license had lapsed. They did not renew, so this is a brand new
Okay,
application.
so it was a brand new, but what was that license before?
Prior, it was Class C.
Okay, so how was that possible?
There's nothing that says in our zoning code that a winery cannot have a Class C license, and I believe everyone thought that this was a winery in the past. But there's nothing, every winery could have a Class C in the county as long as they're not in the city. The city has a special restriction that all wineries must be licensed as a Class Y.
And so I don't see any reason why we cannot approve this, because I understand that there's ambiguity in the definition of a winery, but then we would have to address that for every winery in the county.
Right,
And not just penalize this one.
We probably would need to decide exactly how our wineries in the county are being run before we would decide to stick with one interpretation of that code. I think it's a larger policy decision for this board regarding wineries. And I also am not sure that this really would be an Avalon/Hillside situation. I don't know that this would be a home occupation. If the board were to look into a text amendment to authorize special event sites, then that would probably be more in line with the use of this property based on what I've heard.
Add a text amendment that allows a special event site in conjunction with the winery?
No, in the city we have
I think there's two.
I believe it's called community hall, and community halls are allowed. They basically are for weddings or other special events. The home occupation is a special permitted use in the county, and that's only when there's a resident on site, and then there's all the requirements that we've all been talking about for the last few months.
And I know, Dr. Martin, you said you have a few weddings, and we are getting so hung up on the word wedding. Anytime we hear that, you know, it throws up red flags. I mean, are you talking two in the two a year?
There's 2 this year.
2.
But I don't really like holding weddings as much as like charitable events and Frog Fest and possibly wine tastings in the future, because it's just painful.
How many people usually attend these weddings and these charitable events?
That's less than about 150, maybe 100 to 150, I'd say usually.
And they're indoors?
I have a building. Most of them are indoor. The tastings, when we're done, those are just outside.
But it's not a home, and it's not accessory to a winery.
Nope. It's a Nebraska winemaker that has always made the wine.
Right, but
Something you
you're
may want
looking
to
for, but you're looking for this license for your property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think we need to examine, because I don't think we're being fair
I agree.
here, because we would need to go back and look at every single winery
Right.
and examine what they do with the grapes they're grown, because I can understand as a producer, I mean, exporting it, or not exporting it, but growing the grapes, you know, having it produced by off-site and then
Selling it
on-site.
How many pounds of grapes are you going to be selling this year?
Yeah, this year I probably won't even be selling because I didn't have a license clarified, so
Okay,
the birds will get them this year. So I have 3 acres,
okay,
birds, and boy do they.
okay. My feeling is that I do agree with Bill that I'm not quite prepared to vote positively on this because I think there are too many questions. And you're not accessory, I mean, this is the event, the events that you're holding that's not accessory to a winery, and you're not growing grapes for sale right now, and you, I just really don't think that it meets the requirements. Yes, Bill?
The problem is not with you, Dr. Martin.
Yeah, it's
The
not.
problem is with our process and the way we define these various properties and functions. And we have not fleshed that out completely yet.
You're right.
So this is just a little bit premature for us. And I don't want to put you in a situation where you have something planned and you need that designation right away. So are you up against some deadline to get ready for an
I think
event?
most everything that we have is taken care of for this year, and there's not much going on this year. It's kind of looking forward. And then I want to comply, so I'm kind of waiting a little bit to see.
So can you give us a little time to work
Right.
through
Yeah.
this
Yes.
issue?
Okay.
And if you wanted to be able to serve, you know, beer in addition to wine at one of your special events, a fundraiser, could you come back for an SDL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't have that much going on that it wouldn't be
Okay.
easy to do.
Okay, so it would not be a disservice to you if we were to postpone a decision on this? Okay, all right, so good.
Okay.
And this way, it'll allow us to do a bit more.
To spend more time talking about wine.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to revisit wineries in Lancaster County?
Yes?
I think we should. Maybe what we need to do is to, Tom, when we were speaking last week, I think one of the things that you told me is that we need to possibly look at some of these zoning requirements. Some of these are very old, and the intent is good, but do they really meet today's conditions?
So
Okay.
could we put this on a Thursday then, and maybe have you contact the, 6 wineries we have? Or is there more now, 7? And just kind of get an idea of, you know, the amount of grapes, you know, their, you know, how the wine is produced, you know, what percentage is sold on site, what type of liquor license they currently have, and maybe how many events they have per year. I think that would all be valuable information. And you guys referred to a Class Y license. That's not listed as one of the, on the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission as an option. I see the C and I see the I, so I was just kind of curious, maybe more information about the Class Y as well.
It's the farm winery license. I'm not sure what's on their website, but it's specifically for a farm winery. I also like to point out to the board that there's a time limit on this from the Liquor Control Commission, so we have 45 days to conduct the hearing and make a recommendation from the date of receipt. We received this on May 26th. So I just want to let the board know, if we do nothing, then we do nothing, but if we're going to make a recommendation, it must be made within 45 days from receipt.
And so what would be that date?
Would it be possible for it to make a new application?
Oh, they, absolutely. There's nothing stopping them from
There's
making
nothing,
it.
I mean, okay.
Have to pay $400 again? That seems a little unfair.
Well,
Taking him away from his primary source of income.
Right, and we're telling him he's going to delay, and he's got to apply for a new license at another $400. What's the date then of the 90 days?
the 45.
45, sorry.
45. I don't have a calendar in front of me
Well,
to count the
May
days off.
26th, June 26th is 30 days, so probably right mid-July.
Well, my only comment, I guess, would be to ask that Tom hold off, because the instructions that he was just given sound like an audit. And
Oh, I
so-
didn't intend that.
Well, that's what it's, I mean, I was
Oh.
saying, that's what it sounds like. If you're gonna be asking someone to complete a survey, I mean, that sounds like an audit. So I think we need to probably discuss this at a
Let's
Thursday.
discuss this at a Thursday as to
Before,
what our
Yeah,
process will
I
be.
certainly never used the word audit, and I was just seeing what current conditions are with the wineries that operate in Lancaster County.
Okay, we do need to be moving on with this. And so I think then if we will close the public hearing. And how does the board wish to proceed with this? To table it for discussion?
Oh, I'm gonna move that we approve the Class C liquor license application for Blue Stem Farm.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Class C liquor license for Blue Stem Tree Farm. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes?
Avery,
No.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
No.
Motion fails on a 2-2 vote.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay,
Next is 4B, a manager application for Roderick Land in connection with the Class CK liquor license for Sesostris Temple at 1050 Sotilla Road, Roca.
Hello,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Bob Newts. I'm the manager of the Sesostris Shrine Center. Hello.
okay.
What we
If
have
you'd like
is
to explain what it is that you,
we are wanting to change managers of the bar out at the Shrine Center. Tom, excuse me, Tom Trainer has been our bar manager for the last 2 years. He has kind of moved on to other things. Rod Lane has been the de facto manager for the last several months, and this is his formal application. He applied quite a while ago. I think he forgot some of the processes along the way, but I believe his application is up to date now, and we would recommend that you approve him as our manager.
okay. Okay, anyone to speak in support of? Do you have,
Are there,
excuse me.
are there any planning and zoning issues here?
What is a CK license?
This will be an easy one.
Okay,
They're located outside the city limits, but they're within the city zoning jurisdiction. And under the city zoning code, they're required to have a special permit for on-sale and off-sale of alcohol. They have applied for their special permit. It is scheduled for Planning Commission on July 6th. We don't foresee any problems with that being approved. So I guess my only thought was that the board could make a recommendation for approval conditioned on the special permit being approved.
Todd?
So what is the zoning of this facility?
I think it's C1.
No, wouldn't be C1. I think it's like H3.
Yep, it is.
But regardless of the zoning, in most zoning districts in the city, you're required to have this special permit for on sale or off sale.
H3, I apologize.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, anyone else to speak in regard to the liquor license for Sosostris Temple? Okay, this is a public hearing. We will continue this for one more week, and then we will make a decision, okay?
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for coming in.
Next is number 5, unfinished business, substitute development and conditional zoning agreement related to Lancaster County's application to the City of Lincoln for change of zone CZ 16010.
We technically approved this from the county point of view last Thursday at the staff meeting. The city council approved the substitute development and conditional zoning agreement 6-0 yesterday. So the action today I would recommend is just receive and place on file when we get the contract and put it into our system.
Okay,
Just receive and place on file.
all right.
I move we receive and place on file the substitute development and conditional zoning agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we receive and place on file the substitute development and conditional zoning agreement. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 6, new business. 6E is a special designated license application for Wonderosa Winery for an event to be held on August 6, 2016 at 2361 Woodstock Road, Roca, Nebraska.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the SDL for Bunda Rosa Winery. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. F is a request from the Human Resources Department to change the title, pay grade, and revise the classification of shop supervisor to assistant road maintenance superintendent.
Pam Damon, Lancaster County Engineer. This is a request we talked to you about, I believe, in a staff meeting, to modify, to make this description and position more like what this person is actually doing. And so wanted to bring it forward to you. It is Assistant Road Superintendent. Some of the major changes to this are that this position hold a highway superintendent's license and a CDL. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Bill?
This is a position that is currently filled, right?
That is correct.
And it's not a new position, just a title change.
It is not a new position.
And the title change changes also the range of salary
The title change does change the range of salary.
to increase it?
It does increase it.
So what then do you achieve by changing the title?
So the person is doing the job that is described in the job description that you have in front of you. So we are more making it correct, that the description that defines them actually is what they're doing. So they're doing more than is described right now, and we need more. And so we're just making it more fair.
So it goes from shop supervisor to assistant road maintenance superintendent.
Correct.
Deb?
How difficult is it to get a highway superintendent license?
You may remember that you did recognize Ron Bohati from our shop for receiving his highway license. There's typically somewhere between, 12-ish people that take that test twice a year. Ron was one of 2 that passed in the spring. There were 12 people who took the test recently, and 3 people passed.
Okay.
So it's interesting because if you have an engineering license, you automatically can get a highway superintendent's license through reciprocity. There are a lot of engineering type questions on there. Everything from ADA standards to road standards to engineering standards with compaction and gravel. So it is a very detailed test, and it's very wide-ranging. We have several members of the staff who are currently trying to get their license, so that they'll be eligible for some of these positions in the future.
I will move approval of the request to change classification.
Second. It's moved and seconded that we grant this request to change the classification. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. G is a request from the Human Resources Department to revise the classification of road maintenance superintendent.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. So as we revise the shop supervisor to assistant road maintenance superintendent, we also revised the maintenance superintendent's job description. Some of the main changes that you'll see in there is in the future, I would like that position to have a 4-year degree as desirable. I think it's important that we bring construction engineering or a like degree forward for this position in the future. We also put the highway superintendent's license in there and the CDL. Should they need to move equipment around, we need them to have the ability to do that. This is just a change. There is a person in this position, and there's no pay associated with updating this. It's more making it correct to what it needs to be.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Bill?
Will this, you think this might, the changes in the requirements, 4-year degree, for example, I think I see also a degree in public administration or business administration. Is this going to restrict the pool of candidates for these positions so severely that you may not be able to fill them?
You know, Commissioner Avery, I don't foresee that as an issue. My concern as we move forward is that I'm trying to modify and modernize my department, and it turns out that it's maybe a little more incrementally than I would have anticipated. That we really were, when I came in, kind of a 1950s engineering department, so we didn't have a lot of degrees or certifications. And I believe that that was okay in the 1950s. Now, with the degrees and certifications that people need in order to protect the public and do their jobs, I think we really need to step it up.
I don't want to stand in the way of change, believe me, but is this going to affect the person currently holding the position?
It will not affect the person currently holding the position, but if that person were to resign for any reason, it would affect what we put out to advertise for that person. And I would rather put it in place now than be putting it in place under duress.
Yeah.
All right, I got it. Thanks.
I will move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this request from the Human Resources Department. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. H is a recommendation from purchasing agent and the county engineer to award a contract for asphalt resurfacing to constructors as the lowest responsible bidder meeting the specifications. The total amount is $4,223,616.47 according to attachment A.
So I did bring a map with me today, which I have on the overhead. Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. So this is the resurfacing contract. It's kind of gone through a number of iterations. It bid, as you remember, I recommended rejecting the bid. We rebid it. When we rebid it, we got a higher bid. Each time we only got one bid. So we were able to go back because we had one bid and negotiate with that contractor. The contractor has agreed to go back to his original bid price. In addition, they did offer that we could pay them in April for anything that was over the $3.8 million that we felt we had available in our budget at the time. As it turns out, and I want to just say that was a very generous concession for us. But as it would be, the law doesn't really allow for that because we haven't approved a budget for next year yet. So I can't necessarily set aside those funds for that reason. So I am, as we waited for some of the additional bids to come in on our bridge repairs last Wednesday, they did come in a little less than we'd anticipated. So we do have the $4.2 million and some change to put towards resurfacing these roads. I feel passionately that we need to do this. Last week with the extreme heat, we actually did lose about 100 feet of West Pleasantdale. Wasn't on this resurfacing contract, but it's just another example of what happens with our roads as they age and deteriorate. We actually, in addition to that, even had one asphalt slab that boiled, where the moisture underneath the slab was enough that it lifted the top lift of the asphalt. So continued asphalt maintenance is a major concern of mine, and I would recommend that we award this contract so we can start checking those miles off the list.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation regarding asphalt resurfacing. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 6I is a recommendation from purchasing agent and the county engineer to award a contract for scour repair at Bridge T-171 and X30 to K2 Construction as the lowest responsible bidder, meeting the specifications. The total amount is $369,726.
Lancaster County Engineer Pam Dingman. Bridge T 171, located just south of Sprague, you may recall, was one of the bridges that experienced what I'll call dramatic scour during the flood event. It is also a bridge that has been defunded by FEMA. And so they are saying our emergency repair is adequate. We have appealed that decision. I am bringing this bridge forward for repair because regardless of FEMA, and we'll continue to work with them, this bridge needs to be fixed. In addition to that, we had a bridge of a similar year and similar construction type that also experienced some issues, although it did not have the scour hole propagate to the surface, Bridge X30. And Bridge X30 is located on South 38th Street between Pella Road and Firth Road. So you can kind of see a before and after photo of this bridge that I brought to you today. And so we bundled those two bridges together, and that is what this contract is for, the repair of these two bridges.
Okay.
I would move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation for repair at bridges T-171 and X30. Discussion? Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry, Bill.
I just have a minor question.
Sure.
How do you decide on numbering these bridges?
You know, I appreciate that question, Commissioner Avery. So the county is actually broken up into townships, and at one point the townships each had like a name, where they were like Waverly Township, or there's a number of them. So as the county's broken up into townships, we at some time in the past assigned a letter to each township and then began numbering the structures. So that A starts up in the top left-hand corner, and then they don't go from left to right. They kind of snake around the county as they go. So that's how we assign those. Probably, nearest I can tell, probably at some point in the early 1900s.
Yeah. I guess you could just randomly assign numbers.
Boy, that would really mess us up, wouldn't it?
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second on this?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. J is a recommendation from the purchasing agent and county engineer to award a contract for scour repair at bridges G2, K144, M23, and S65 to Rush Creek Construction, Inc. as the lowest responsible bidder, meeting the specifications. The total amount is $356,010.34.
So, if I could start, Bridge X 65 is located on South 38th Street between Roca and Martel. This bridge was damaged by the flooding, in particular around the embankments. That's a little picture of it. Bridge M23 is located on the Lancaster County sewer line. This is the bridge I've kind of talked to you about before. 1917 earth-filled arch bridge with a concrete tension beam underneath. We, in the 1980s, put a steel and concrete deck on top of it. Not, again, probably what I do in 2016. This bridge actually was fine, though, until the flooding. It experienced a lot of bank erosion, as well as a lot of channel erosion, and so it's in this contract. Bridge G2, which is over Salt Creek on 84th Street, is one of those bridges where we also had some pretty dramatic bank erosion that we're going to stabilize with this contract. Bridge K144, this is the bridge that is located on Havelock Avenue over by the Event Center. It's been a bridge that has long been a concern of mine. It has the old 1930s-ish abutment that was left underneath the bridge to protect the new bridge abutment. This is showing debris and scour along the channel, as well as the channel actually changed for Stevens Creek in this location during the flooding. So that is another, and we've been referring to it in the office as the FEMA 4 FEMA contract to go ahead and repair these bridges.
Okay. Move approval. Oh, Bill, did you have a question?
Well, let's get a second, then I will.
Oh, okay. We have an approval. I mean, we have a motion.
Second.
I was curious as to how much of the funding will be provided by FEMA.
So 75% for these will be reimbursed by FEMA. And then when the construction is complete and NEMA has inspected them, NEMA will reimburse us another 12.5%.
So then there's 12.5% that we have to pick up.
That's correct.
Do you have it?
Do I have it? I do not. I do not. But we need to fix these structures. I mean, it's an awkward position. I can come back at a staff meeting and talk about where we're at with the funding and the challenges that we've been dealing with.
Okay, that would be nice.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation to award a contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. K is a recommendation from the purchasing agent and the county engineer to award a contract for erosion control at culverts and bridges to Gannett Trucking and Excavating as the lowest responsible bidder meeting the specifications. The total amount is $303,637.19.
So I have brought with me a map. I just want to make sure that I have all the, there we go. So this is a map of 7 structures. These structures all have bank erosion adjacent to them, which is a concern to us. You're really going to see me in the next year come forward and be very aggressive with the maintenance of these structures. So this contract is to stable up the banks adjacent to all 7 of these structures. And they're not FEMA structures or NEMA structures, but they do have maintenance needs.
I can only count 6.
There's 2 up here in the corner that are very close to each other. And people may not realize that the northern part of our county is actually Rock Creek, which is a separate drainage basin from the city of Lincoln and the area south. And so it is kind of interesting that oftentimes we'll have flooding on Rock Creek when we didn't necessarily have any rain in Lancaster County.
Okay.
I would move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this, this contract for erosion control. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson. Motion carries 4-0.
And to just total the up, that's $5,050,494 in asphalt, bridge repair, and culvert repair.
And with that, I would just like to say that I appreciate the board supporting me in aggressively maintaining our infrastructure and our structures. We really are like the ant in the rubber tree plant, but I intend to get there. It's probably not going to be a 1-year process. It's probably going to be somewhere between a 5 and an 8-year process, but it's important and it's what we need to do to protect the public.
Well, it's absolutely necessary for safety of our travelers. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 6L is an interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County on behalf of the Southeast Region to provide Southeast Region grant funds from NEMA to the City of Lincoln for purchase from Remotech. Cost of the region will be approximately $19,900.
Good morning. Jim David, Saber Director, Lincoln, Lancaster County Emergency Management. Lancaster County serves as the fiscal agent for the Southeast region, and as such, we're always going to incur some liability in serving in that capacity. It's my responsibility to ensure that these grant funds are administered properly through NEMA. This interlocal agreement gives us the opportunity to relieve, not necessarily completely eliminate the liability, but really limit it. What it allows us to do in this particular case, the City of Lincoln Bomb Squad is the receiving agency. The Bomb Squad can negotiate the terms and conditions directly with Remotech. So Lancaster County is kept out of that piece of the work, and as such, it eliminates the liability that we have there. It also ensures that the Bomb Squad, again, negotiating directly with the vendor, they will get exactly what they are ordered. So I was researching our options with Dave Durbin from the County Attorney's Office. This is just the best or a better way for us to do business as we serve as that fiscal agent.
Donald Gross
comments?
with the Bureau of Fire Prevention, and representing the Bureau of Fire Prevention as our Bomb Squad grant coordinator for our office in regards to the Southeast Pet Region's grant funds that we get. So I pretty much spec the equipment and work out those terms and agreements that we want. So this is really just a small procedural change on the part of the purchasing agent who represents both the city and the county. So the city will take the lead with making that purchase, and then now the fiscal agent, being the county, will reimburse us out of those Southeast funds. So it's pay neutral for the city and for the county. Neither one is, all the money ultimately is still being paid for by the pet region. It just puts the liability on the terms and agreements that we want to use to make those purchases. Though when this was being written out, it was written out for the Remotech. We still have 2 purchases left in this grant year, which has that expiration date of August 26th. So there's still going to be another purchase. And what we envision in the future is we'll have an interlocal agreement for each grant year. So we'll be spooling up for the 2015, which we have $90,000 to spend that's been allocated to us through NEMA and the Southeast Pet Region, which will have multiple projects in that. So what it simply does is simplify the liability and allows us to negotiate direct with what we need as a bomb squad with the vendors that are providing us that specialized equipment.
Well, the method sounds positive.
Yes.
Okay.
And in 30 seconds, what is a Remotech?
Remotech is the supplier of our largest robot that we have in our inventory that we use for bomb squad activities.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this interlocal agreement for a purchase from Remotech. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Emma's acceptance of a sales quotation from Sealer for annual technical support, software maintenance, and warranty for the county engineer's Trimble software and hardware. The cost of county is $4,024.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we accept the sales quotation for the annual technical support. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. N is utility permit number 1434, allowing Windstream, Nebraska to relocate fiber optic cable on 190th Street between Ashland Road and Little Salt Road due to County Culvert A33 replacement. There is no cost to the county.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this utility permit 1434. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. O is an agreement between the University of Nebraska-Lincoln on behalf of the College of Education and Human Services and Lancaster County on behalf of the Human Services Department to establish an internship program through Human Services. The term of the agreement is May 20th, 2016 through May 19th, 2017.
Good morning, Director, Lincoln Lancaster Human Services Department. This agreement basically allows us to have an intern in our diversion program. We get her for 150 hours, no cost. She's been wonderful. She has her own caseload. It's great. She's a great asset to the office.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this agreement to establish an internship program. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 6P is a real estate sales agreement between the Village of Denton and Lancaster County in lieu of condemnation by the Village of Denton of property located generally at Southwest 91st Street and 3rd Street in Denton. In addition, the county will provide the village a permanent easement for ingress and egress. The village will pay the county a total of $17,400.
Okay, we had discussed this, I believe, in a staff meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this real estate sales agreement between Denton and Lancaster County. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Q is a quitclaim deed from Lancaster County to the Village of Denton of property located generally at Southwest 91st and 3rd Street in Denton, and a permanent easement from Lancaster County to the Village of Denton to access the property.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the quitclaim deed from Lancaster County to the Village of Denton. That goes along with the sales agreement, so any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 6R is an escrow agreement between Nebraska Title Company and Lancaster County and the Village of Denton. Cost of the county is $300.
Move go ahead.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this escrow agreement between Nebraska Title and Lancaster County and the Village of Denton. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. S is an amendment to County Contract C-14-329 with Right Point Company for the annual requirements of polypatch applicator rental and mastic pave patch. The amendment renews the contract from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. The estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $20,000.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore, Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. T is an amendment to County Contract C-14-328 with Logan Contractor Supply, Inc. for the annual requirements of polypatch applicator rental and mastic pave patch. The amendment renews the contract from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. The estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $8,000.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract. Any discussion?
Oh, excuse me.
Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. U is an amendment to County Contract C-16-153 with Guardian Pest Solutions, Inc. to remove services on the contract for pest control. The revised contract total with removal of the services is estimated to be $5,424 for the term.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract with Guardian Pest Solutions. I'm sorry, yeah.
Just a question. I was kind of curious. I know nobody is here from purchasing. Why we're just removing one segment of the contract? Do you? Not a large dollar amount. I was just curious why we're removing segment 3 or something.
I'm Dave Durbin, Deputy County Attorney, Lancaster County Attorney's Office. I'm not sure. I could look into that for you and figure out why we're doing it operationally, but we just reviewed it for legal requirements.
It's fine. I was just curious.
Okay.
I'm sure they're providing good advice.
Okay. Well, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 6B is amendment to County Contract C-13-483 between Sherwin-Williams Paint Company and Lancaster County using the University of Nebraska RFP 2135-13-7215 for paint and related products prime supplier contract. The amendment renews the contract from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. Estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $5,000.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract with Sherwin-Williams Paint Company. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. W is an amendment to County Contract C-13-482 between Diamond Vogel and Lancaster County using the University of Nebraska RFP 2135-13-7215 for paint and related products prime supplier contract. The amendment renews the contract from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. Estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $3,000.
Move approval.
Second?
Moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract with Diamond Vogel. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. X is an amendment to County Contract C-14-377 with Concrete Industries, Inc. for the annual supply of asphaltic joint sealant. The amendment renews the contract from July 29th, 2016 through July 28th, 2017. Estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $15,000.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract with Concrete Industries. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Y is an amendment to County Contract C-15-289 with Technion LLC for furniture and installation. The estimated expenditure for this contract will be increased by $60,000 for the remainder of the contract term with a revised total amount of $90,000.
Commissioner Avery has gestured in my direction, so Bob's not here today. He's on vacation, and he had let me know that originally this contract was for $30,000. That was the not to exceed number. That was not going to allow for the full project to be done for the expansion of the I believe this is for county extension. Wasn't going to allow for the full extension of their office space, so that's why this has been increased by $60,000. The original was $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
What
that,
expansion are you talking about? Because I don't remember we approving an expansion.
I believe we've discussed the expansion of the county extension office space previously, but this really isn't my contract other than what I've been told.
We did discuss it, but we did not vote.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Karen Wobig from Nebraska Extension in Lancaster County. Thank you for speaking on this. This is not in relationship to the expansion that we have been talking about. This is just for some cubicle renovation in the interior, and it's with existing funds from this year. Due to salary savings. We are, and I believe I've spoken to this or about this to you. We're concerned about, wiring and things. We have very old cubicle space, the original 30 years or so. And so we're looking to have an office interiors and design come in and redo some of those cubicles with new wiring that will connect And so we won't have the daisy chain, wiring going on like we have. And we also are getting basically 4 if you want to add this one, but 4 spots that will help in our staffing issues.
Okay.
So nothing to do with that actual expansion that we were discussing previously.
It's just basically a reconfiguration, a rewiring.
Yeah, and new walls,
New walls.
new cubicles, yes.
And this is money that you captured from unfilled positions?
Yes, basically. And the university is applying or has granted $20,000 toward this. So it's $56,000 is roughly the total of what we're planning to do. And university has kicked in $20,000 of that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Based on the explanation, I will move approval.
Second. It's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract with Technion LLC for furniture and installation. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 6Z is close the staff secure wing of the Lancaster County Youth Services Center effective July 11, 2016, and provide written notice of the closure to the Nebraska Administrative Office of Juvenile Probation, the Lancaster County Juvenile Court, the Nebraska Jail Standards Board, and the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services.
We discussed this last Thursday at the staff meeting, decided it'd be better to take this official action today. I've drafted a letter for the board's review to send out giving notice, and got a press release that we could use also, that's also available for your review. In talking with Shelley, we've identified 4 agencies that should receive direct notice: the Nebraska Administrative Office of Juvenile Probation, the Lancaster County Juvenile Court, Nebraska Jail Standards Board, and the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. We would certainly be amenable if there's other people you think should receive an addressed letter. We can also send people a copy of the press release. But these 4 agencies we thought deserved a direct letter.
Bill?
I read the letter just before coming in, and it's a little bit ambiguous in the last paragraph as to what will become of that 19-bed area. I presume you plan to close down a wing?
Correct. I mean, it physically will still exist.
Yeah.
But we won't be utilizing it. The desire is for private providers to work with state probation to see if they would be interested in providing some type of service for youth that are
in that space.
In that space. In talking with a lot of private providers, they express the concern of startup fees, of building something. And so I think that could be a benefit to them. There's also, at a bigger level, discussions of the state looking at redistributing where placements exist for Kearney and Geneva. Perhaps they'd be interested. I've been approached by someone within education about utilizing that space. So
on behalf of children?
On behalf of children.
Okay.
Correct. You know, I think it's under the PBC, so how that's advertised would be another step that we'd need to take. It is built so that it meets HHS licensure, which is a nice foresight of the people in 2002 when we built the facility. I just really appreciate the county board's foresight. For the past 2 years, I've worked with Sarah Hoyle in Human Services in really looking at our population of kids coming in, and she and her staff, in collaboration with the county attorney's office and law enforcement, have done wonderful things to assist families in keeping their youth from going further into the system. Our population of youth who are pre-adjudicated or pre-trial youth is significantly reduced. And that was thanks to also the legislature affording us community-based services dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And those dollars have been put to use. The system right now needs to be pushed for youth to get into their placements.
Mm-hmm. Todd?
Well, and you kind of alluded to, and I apologize, I was not there on
I know.
Thursday, but we've had several conversations about this, and I read through the meetings minutes.
Mm-hmm.
My question has to do with would you expand on the community-based programs? Because I think that's something that I think we need to emphasize, because the way it may appear is that we're doing this for cost savings, but the reality is that that the children would have better outcomes through the community-based programs.
Right. The one thing I want to make sure is people are often confused about the flow of youth through the juvenile justice system. Community-based services have two perspectives. There's community-based services for youth when they're first come into contact with the law violations, and they're kept from getting further in, which is what Sarah's going to talk about. Then there's community-based services once the youth have admitted or are in the system being supervised under the court and under probation. And those community-based services really are a function of what the state looks at for their planning. So that will require significant collaboration with probation, but ultimately it's through private insurance or probation that pay for that.
Right.
I have youth in my facility who are waiting for community-based services, which is not something that Sarah is responsible for. So I don't know which specific area you would like clarified.
Both, because
Okay.
the way the letter reads is that they kind of confuse the two, the difference, and I understand the difference between programs and services.
Right.
Which, that's where we need to do a better job of educating the public.
Okay.
The community-based services that Shelley alluded to, the money from the legislature that significantly increased 2 years ago with the passage of 561 and later 464, those fundings are designated for pre-adjudicated youth, for youth who have not appeared yet before a judge and admitted into some sort of plea, if you will. So the types of programs that we have in that area, a large part of it goes to diversionary types of programs. That's where you find your truancy diversion program, your diversion program that we just restructured, where we've pulled in community collaboratives to assist in providing those services. We have a number of community organizations now that kids are being connected to. We also have the 5-0 Fun Club through the Sheriff's Office that is part of that community collaborative, community-based programming. We have one through Lincoln Police Department where the kids are engaged with different sports teams, and the officers serve as assistant coaches to these kids. So those are the types of prevention, early intervention programming that we're seeing in Community Aid. Moving further down the line of early intervention, that pre-adjudicated population, keep in mind too, we have our electronic monitoring program, our pre-adjudication community services. It's that electronic monitoring program for kids going into Shelley's facility that are screened by juvenile probation, and juvenile probation determines that they could be released to the community if they had supervision in place. So we also have that program as a component of it. The county also funds Shelter, the Shelter program, as an alternative to staff secure. And then we also have different types of day reporting, alternative school, employment programs for this population. Oh, go ahead.
Well, the second part would be those youth. The best analogy I'm going to get for the public is for adults. Once you're sentenced, you're delivered to the Department of Corrections or probation for your services. Similarly, for juveniles, once you're adjudicated, you're under the supervision of probation, state probation, and state probation then works with the courts for youth to go to group homes, treatment facilities, be be at home with services or to Kearney or Geneva. Those are the other levels of community-based services. For example, Boys Town in Omaha. That's a community-based service that can be utilized for youth under the supervision of probation. I see Lori in here, and I don't know if you want to come up and talk about the back end of community-based services.
Lori Griggs, Chief Juvenile Probation Officer here in Lincoln for Lancaster County and District 3J Probation. I think all the conversation has been good, and as Shelley stated, as a steering committee with the lead judge and prosecutors and Shelley and Sarah and myself, HHS is also on there. There have been discussions about repurposing Staff Secure and some good options about identifying some treatment components and short-term, longer-term treatment, whatever's necessary, filling some gaps so that kids don't need to go to an out-of-state placement to get some treatment if there's full beds here. So I, believe in use of the shelter and the most appropriate placement for the most appropriate situation and youth's risks at the time. My only concern with this proposal is the July 11th. I think that that's a pretty quick deal when judges and prosecutors were just informed like last Wednesday. So, and Art and myself. But we would, if that's what you choose to do, we will work very fast to come up with some alternatives. I would just fear that somewhere along the line there's going to be a youth, July 15th, that somebody might file a motion and ask for placement in Staff Secure, and it's a 3B, just a status offense, and the nearest option for that then would be SARPI. And for families to have to travel to visit a youth there, if that's what a judge or a prosecutor asks for or is needed, would be kind of an unintended consequence. So I would prefer something like September 1 so that we can develop options that everyone is comfortable with, because prosecutors and judges are part of these, they're key people in decision-making on the use of detention. I don't unilaterally send kids there and go out and pick them up, I do an affidavit, the prosecutor files a motion, and the judges sign and either agree or decline to place somebody in either Staff Secure or detention. So there's some key stakeholders, there's a group of folks that all are involved in the juvenile justice process here. So that would just be my request. If it's not possible to have an extended date, then we would speed up some of those processes and finding solid alternatives that are appropriate.
Bill?
Shelley, what's your response to that?
Well, here's the deal. We have 10 kids in there right now. 2 of them have been in there less than 30 days. Only 2. They're waiting for services. We had often talked about the cat being 20 days. 561 passed 2 years ago. We've extended this, and we've extended it. And I get that argument. My concern is that there becomes a time where you have to have a cutoff. We've talked with Jim Blue. Sarah's made phone calls, I have. There are things that Mr. Blue could do, I believe, similar to what we do. For example, calling in another staff. That's what I do in my facility when I have a youth that's higher risk. Any other program can do that as well. There's always going to be the concern about another kid, because kids don't stop. So I was fine with the July 11th, but I also brought up at the meeting about the concern to have it go longer, because people brought that up to me.
We have,
Yes,
have been discussing this issue for years. I appreciate all the work that Shelley has done in working with these stakeholders And the system has changed, and we need to change our system as well. And when you look at Staff Secure and how it's being utilized, it's time to repurpose. It's time to do something different. And I will move that we send the letter notifying the stakeholders of the closure of Staff Secure as of July 11th.
Bill?
Shelley, this is for you. How confident are you that the kids are going to be well served if we make this change?
I'm going to have to direct that conversation to Lori, because the youth that are in Staff Secure are those youth being supervised by probation. So those are youth that Lori and her staff and state probation work with on the community for services. And then when they are not successful, they're coming back in for violations of the supervision for the most part. For the few kids that we have that are pre-adjudicated, I am confident. I have had a conversation, more than one, with Ms. Hoyle. I am very confident over the youth that I and the county has the direct ability to service. Would that be the best way to say it? So, I mean,
We've gone over all of the current youth and Staff Secure. They all have a plan. I don't believe that the current 9, I mean, they're moving along with their cases. There's either going to be additional filing or there's hearings set. I don't believe that there will be anything detrimental that would happen with the current youth, because there's place for them to go, or there's a plan. It's before that gap in time where we might not have Staff Secure repurposed yet, or if Cedars is expanding, that takes a little while. So some of those things that are out there as great ideas, if they're not developed, I just think a little extra time to make sure that there's not an unintended consequence of this date.
Todd?
I'm going to agree mostly with what Deb said, because times have changed, and I mean, I think that this is the direction that juvenile detention is going, getting out of a facility-based model into more community-based, and I think they have better outcomes for those involved families and the children. I do share Lori's concern that this is, I mean, I know we talked about it last Thursday. I mean, that's less than a 30-day notice. And, there is going to be unintended consequences. And so I think it's important that we try to mitigate those. And so I will go ahead and second the motion, but I would also offer an amendment to extend it to August 1st.
Can I? I just want to be very clear. That service development, though, is ultimately something that the state probation is driving. We can assist by giving input, but none of that service is something that's directly the responsibility, or, I mean, okay, I just wanted to be very clear on the record that I can help, but I'm not going to be making official decisions on
the repurposing. I'll accept that as a friendly amendment, but I'm not interested in moving it to September, October, November, December.
August 1.
Okay, so the amendment has been accepted, a friendly amendment. We would change that then to August the 1st.
That gives you 2 more weeks.
I think that, what it allows is a little bit more time for the key people to get together and have some commitments and strategies around what did we use it for up until this point, and what are the appropriate alternatives to use instead of defaulting to something that would be not a good solution, like traveling to another facility. So we're committed to not doing that, because I think that's just absolutely the
last Thursday, this was one of my concerns too. I thought that July the 11th was a little bit quick, and I feel very comfortable with August the 1st. So That gives 30 days' notice, so is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah, I just want to be reassured here that this is not going to harm the kids.
No, it's not on our end. Like I said, there's, we're a piece of it. We're not the only entity that recommends staff secure places.
What would happen if you got a kid that falls through the cracks?
Mm-hmm. We feel really comfortable and confident with Cedars Pioneer Center and Jim Blue, as Shelley has stated, in terms of wanting to be an increased partner in meeting this need, this population need, status offenders that are at risk of harm.
We have three experts here in the room. All three of you agree.
Yes.
The essentials of this proposal.
Yes, I think it needs to be very clear. The youth that we're serving are kids that are going through the process to see if they can go back home with more services or if they need a higher level of care. They are being supervised by the community, by services. I believe it's more harm that they're sitting in my facility for 50 days waiting for a placement. So I firmly believe that. I cannot say that all these services are going to come up. I don't control that. We have struggled since the regional center closed for kids on what to do with youth with significant mental health issues but are not high enough level to be hospitalized.
And actually, I think
that's not going to change with this proposal.
I can't make that change. It's the way the system is set up. If the county runs certain things and the state runs certain things, and that has been brought forward about the mental health services. We rely on private entities to step up. There have been some. The concern they're having is, where's the reimbursement going to come from? That's going to be discussions with probation and state Medicaid and the region that we contribute funds to. I understand. I don't want a kid to be harmed either. But as long as we continue to allow kids with mental health and significant issues to be held in jails because there's not services, that is harm.
And actually, one of the things, the national research that has been going on shows that kids are better off in the home because actually, if they are in jail, they have a significantly higher percentage of potentially returning back to the system. So, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore.
Yes.
Welchen.
Yes.
Avery.
I'm going to take your word, because the big issue here is the kids.
I know.
And I'll vote yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
I would love to invite you to any meeting that we have when we're working on this. So I will contact you afterwards, and I appreciate your passion, all of your passion.
6AA is amend the guidelines for public participation at meetings of the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners effective June 21st, 2016.
Okay.
Mr. Durbin thought it might be a good idea to amend our guidelines to make them a little more current, reflect our current starting time. And on public hearings, we have adjusted the participation time downward. Our guidelines specifically allowed us to adjust it upward, but didn't say anything about making reasonable adjustments when we have large numbers of testifiers. So you'd have the legislative version and a final version that was put into the packet would show those very minor changes, but I think it's well advised.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the amendment for the guidelines of the public participation. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Welchen.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. BB is denial of PV 530069 in the amount of $856.63 submitted by the Lancaster County Community Corrections Department.
I move we deny PV
Second.
530069.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we deny this request. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 7 are consent items, right-of-way contracts between Lancaster County and the following: Evelyn Beer House et al., successor co-trustees, in the amount of $530.20. Frankie Farms, Inc., in the amount of $1,318.60.
Move approval of consent items?
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the consent items. Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 8 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on agenda may do so at this time. Next is announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, June 23rd, 2016 at 8:30 a.m. in the Bill Luxford studio of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold their next regular meeting on Tuesday, June 28th, 2016 at 9 a.m. in room 112 with the County Board of Equalization immediately following. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold public hearings on Tuesday, June 28th, 2016 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building regarding the county special permit 15064 for Avalon Event Paradise, 12-788 West Roker Road, Crete, Nebraska, and county special permit number 16021 for Hillside Events at 12400 West Denton Road, Denton, Nebraska. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 5th, 2016 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building regarding county change of zone number 16011 from AG Agricultural District to AGR Agricultural Residential District on property generally located at South 82nd Street and Roker Road. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 5th, 2016 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building regarding Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 16002 to amend future land use plan from AG Agricultural District to AGR Low Density Agricultural Residential District Low Density on property generally located at South 82nd Street and Roker Road. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live, and it's rebroadcast on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays on 5 City TV, cable channel 5. In addition, the meeting may be viewed on the internet at lancaster.ne.gov under 5 City TV, video on demand, or 5 City TV on YouTube.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners meeting is now adjourned, and let's move on to the Board of Equalization.
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. And, also in attendance this morning is Scott Gaines from the County Assessor's Office. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, June 14th, 2016.
Move approval?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of last week's Board of Equalization meeting. Any discussion? Any corrections, I should say? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Abstain.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 3 yes, 1 abstention. Number 2 are additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions?
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 3 is a public hearing. This is for motor vehicle tax exemption applications for Christ Place, Great Plains Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, and New Bethel Bible Way Church.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and I would invite comments for anyone speaking in support of, opposition to, or in a neutral position regarding these applications. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and let's proceed.
I would move that we approve the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve these applications. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 4 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to County Board of Equalization business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Move we adjourn?
Second?
Moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.